Hello, sophomores. This is Mrs. Gradian, and I'm here today to explain to you or to review with you how to punctuate compound sentences. Now, the first rule for punctuating compound sentences is to use a comma with a conjunction. And just so you know, conjunctions are, maybe you don't remember what they are, but there's a trick to remembering them, and is to use the word fanboys as a memory trick. And fanboys stands for and, nor, but, or, yet, so. So the rule is a compound sentence that contains two independent clauses, you can divide it with a comma and a conjunction. So the example is, Garfield belongs to John, comma, and Odie does too. Here you can see Garfield is the subject and belongs is the verb, so that makes it an independent clause. And then you have a little prep phrase here. Then you have the comma at the end of that first independent clause. And then and acts as a sort of cement between the two clauses. Odie is the subject of the second half, and does is the verb. So now you have a correctly punctuated compound sentence. You cannot use a comma by itself because that would create what's called a comma splice, and that is a type of run-on, which you do not want to have. All right, the second rule for compound sentences is one in which you use a semicolon. A semicolon has more power than a comma, so it can actually join two independent clauses by itself. So the example here is Odie is a goofy dog, semicolon. Garfield is a sarcastic fat cat. So you can see Odie is a complete clause, independent clause, and Garfield is an independent clause. And then you have some descriptors on either side. So the semicolon goes at the end of the first clause, and then the next clause adds to it, adds some information, but they can both stand by themselves. So a semicolon can and does have the power to join two independent clauses. Notice the button on the top. Think of it as a power button. All right. The third compound sentence rule is the compound sentence with a semicolon and a conjunctive adverb. Now, conjunctive adverbs are types of words that sort of act like transitions within a sentence. And so what you need to do here is you use the semicolon at the end of the first independent clause, then you use the conjunctive adverb as a transition, and then you have a comma after that transition word, then you have the second independent clause. So the example here is Garfield plays mean tricks on Odie, semicolon. It's the end of the first independent clause. However, comma, Odie is clueless and rarely feels insulted. So as long as you have a subject and verb on the first in the first half, Garfield plays, and a subject and verb in the second half, Odie is, then you can use words like however with a semicolon to join the two complete clauses. So those are the three rules, and they're probably a review for most of you, but maybe it's new. What I would suggest doing is going back to your Encyclopedia of Me paragraphs and choosing one and going in and see if you need to do some revision with your compound sentences. You do not ever want to have two independent clauses joined with no punctuation, because that would be a run-on. And you also don't want to just join them with a comma, because the comma doesn't have enough power. So the comma either needs a conjunction, like and, or, nor, but, for, yet, so, or you can use a semicolon on its own, or you can use a semicolon with a conjunctive adverb. And if you need to see a list of conjunctive adverbs, they are listed here, and these slides will be linked in your daily Canvas slides. Thank you so much for listening. We're finished.